It's your time. Your next is waiting for you. In order to get what you want, you have to leave where you are. Take a step to what's next. It's your time to level up. Elevation, graduation, celebration is all waiting for you. Let's take it to the next level. Let's increase your faith. Don't delay, then it's all well. It's waiting for you. Let's take it to the next level. Let's increase your faith. Don't delay, the next level is waiting for you.
Hello, everyone. It is your favorite time of the week. It's your time to level up. I am your host, Jamie Gill, and I am here with my beautiful co-host, Stephanie Reynolds. Hey, girl. Hey. How you
Hey,
doing?
girl. Hey. How are you?
Girl, it's been a week. I've turned a year older, and I've been in the
Happy
hospital.
birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Here's to 47, right?
Right.
Okay now.
47. But it is a true sign that you never know what can happen. You can be celebrating your birthday and then in the hospital the very next day. And so that's why this show means so much to me, because it is about seizing the day, about maximizing your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes, all the days.
All the day is about really recognizing that all you have is now. And so that's why we have this show, because we want to help you level up in whatever that means for you, financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever that is, relationally. We want to help you level up, because life is just a vapor. I was celebrating my birthday on one day and in the emergency room the very next day.
Ooh.
And so that's why I'm so happy to have the guest that we have here today, because he is known as the lover of life. And that is what we need today, to learn how to love life and why we should, no matter what's going on, the sunshine or the rain. So, Steph, tell our beautiful guest who we have with us today.
Yes. So we have the man, the myth, the legend. That is Mr. Robert Hazzard Jr. He is the businessman, the podcast host, the leadership expert, the author, the speaker. He is the Chicago Defender 2026 Men of Excellence Award recipient. And as we were doing the prep for the show, he was telling us about all the other accolades. He's board member of the year and he's all the things. So we are so grateful that he was willing to take some time out to come on Level Up. And I really think that those who are listening are going to get a lot of good information today. So they are going to definitely leave here tonight feeling like they have the tools to level up.
Oh my goodness. Woo.
What's his name?
I said it. Oh, well, let me say it again, because I guess he is worthy of having his name announced twice. Mr.
Okay.
I'm dedicated.
Come on, bring it on. Bring it on.
Mr. Robert Hazzard Jr., welcome to the show.
Thank you. Boy, that was a lot of accolades, man. I hope that I can live up to all of those things, Stephanie.
Well, you already have. I'm only saying what you've already done. Right. Those were all facts. I made nothing up.
No, that is not. Robert, welcome to Level Up. I am always so happy to have a chance to share space with you, whether it's virtually or in living color.
Right?
You are a vibe, man. Have you always been this way?
No, I can't say that I've always been this way, but I mean, it helps that I have you beautiful ladies here, your energy and everything in this room today, which is why you have the Level Up podcast. I mean, I'm super excited to just be in the room with you. I'll tell you.
We are glad to have
Robert,
you, sir.
I'm loving the hat too. I'm loving the hat.
I'm feeling out. I got a headband on, so that headband day on Level Up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell
Yeah.
us about that hat. There's a special emblem on there. What's that hat all about?
So the hat piece of it is my latest collection. No, just kidding.
I
I'm just
forgot to
I'm
add
just
he's
kidding.
a fashion designer. I'm sorry. Sorry I left that off the list.
Yeah, emblem, all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is actually, my initials, my brand. When you go to IamRobertHazzardJr.com, you'll actually see the RH, which is Sir Robert Hazard, on my website. So yeah, it's and we have these in different colors. Red just happens to be the one today. We have a blue, we have a green. We have all of the brand colors that I have come to enjoy.
So
But
let's
thank you
talk
for
about
asking
that.
about them.
Yeah, so you're wearing your brand,
Hmm.
right? And this show is all about books and brand
Yeah,
business.
sure, sure.
What is the Robert Hazard brand? When people see the RH symbol, what do they get? What should they expect? What's the tagline? What's the expectation?
That's a great question. I wasn't ready for that one, but I can give it to you. What they should expect is to be inspired when they come into my presence. That's one of my things that I do, that I believe in, and I've always believed in. I want people to, experience, Robert in a great way. If you've heard me talk, one of the things that when I meet people, and they ask me how I'll say that I'm outstanding, or I'm amazing, or it's an amazing day, because I want to leave people in a better position when they come into my presence. I'd love to do the same, but so that's what the brand is all about.
And that is you. Every time
Yeah.
I'm in the room with you, it is that. And um, we want to start off. We're in a season of loving your story,
Mm, mm.
and we want our audience to know your story. And so we know we only have an hour, so we can't get it all right. But there are a few titles that you wear proudly, much like you wear that hat. It is author, it is businessman, but I think your favorite title is father.
Absolutely. I was wondering if you were going to say that one.
Yes,
You know?
yes. And grandpa, father and
Absolutely. Yeah.
so before we
Yeah.
get to all of the accolades, because it's actually one of my favorite elements of you, because your eyes dance when you
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
fatherhood and
Yeah.
grandfatherhood hat. So tell
Yeah.
us what it means to you to be a dad.
Wow, you're trying to make me cry already. It actually means, yeah, it means a lot to me, right? Because I have two, amazing children. My son, Brian is my firstborn, and God, I was so young in his mom when we had him, and and I looked at baby pictures. I'm actually looking at a picture of him right now above my head. But yeah, that was. We didn't have books. We didn't know outside of the Bible, how to rear a child, and so yeah, that's a special thing for me. That I'm the only boy in my family, and so my father was proud of having me. I got a lot of toys and everything growing up that were special to me. But yeah, my son Brian is my oldest. My daughter Rachel is, right after him, 10 years later. His mom said, "Hey, we're having a baby." I said, What's going on here?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so both my children have children. My son has four. Is it four? Yeah, it's actually three amazing um children that he has, and then two adopted. So literally, has a family of five that he has. So I get to see my grandboys when they FaceTime me and and ask me, what's going on, what am I doing. don't be surprised. My granddaughter who started school today is actually she's notorious for FaceTiming me throughout the day and in the evening and stuff like that. So yeah, my face lights up when I talk about my children, but yeah, when I get an opportunity to see my grandkids too, I love it. I love it. So I wear that fatherhood badge of honor. I hope I wear it very well. In fact, there's a book coming out. I think I may have talked to Stephanie about it, but entitled something around fatherhood. I don't want to give the whole title away yet,
Stay tuned.
but yeah, stay tuned. It's coming. It's coming. But
You
yeah.
know what,
Hmm.
Robert? Because you can hear the passion in your voice and you get emotional when you're talking about your children and your grandchildren. How has that particular part of your life influenced how you go into leadership, how you approach your brand, how you approach just the different things that you're doing in life? How interconnected is that for you?
It's very because what happens is I have the privilege of mentoring third grade boys in the South Holland school system. I've been doing that with some other gentlemen. We've been doing it for about 5 years now, and we focus on social emotional learning qualities and techniques. So I get a chance to not only work with my grandkids, but I get a chance to, work with kids in the school system, right? And so I get super excited about giving back and seeing, the differences when the men come in, because our goal was for the men to wear suit and ties, to school, because many times children don't get to see a father in the home possibly, but no less a father wearing a tie, right? Unless they're going to church, or something like that. So I really get excited that I can do those things, so and I take it further from a mentoring perspective in some of the other organizations that I volunteer in. So I really enjoy doing these types of things.
I love that. So that is Robert, you're so easy to be around and to talk to. And it just reminds me of our first conversation. Uh, Robert was a stranger to me. And uh,
Yeah.
I was just told he needed to be a part of a project that I was doing called Lessons for the Little Boy, where I was inviting men to share their stories of manhood. And Robert, I think our very first conversation, we were on the phone for like three. Hey, there's my baby.
There it
There's my baby.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I could tell
yeah,
his cousin
yeah,
back.
yeah.
3 or 4 hours. I think the
We were.
very
Yeah,
first conversation, stranger.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that one of the most amazing things about you is just your level of authenticity and honesty. You really have, Steph talked about the passion in which you speak, not just about your children, but in any conversation that I'm having with you, personal or professional, there's just this deep rooted passion. Tell me where that conviction of just honesty comes from.
Yeah, that was something I had to grow into. I do remember our first conversation, and you were like, just speak from your heart, and let it flow and write. And I'm like, oh my God, that means I got to tell the world, things about me, growing up and all of those sorts of things. So, but I have a spiritual base that is very important to me. I don't always, I've struggled with this, being perfected or being perfect, as it were. But Jesus didn't want us to be perfect. I misunderstood some of those, things because I thought I had to walk on water to be a good Christian, right?
Yeah.
And later learned that I didn't have to be after drowning. Man, was I drowning? I went to the spiritual men in the organization I was part of for 25 years or so, and just kind of said, "Man, how do you all do it? How do you walk on water?" And it wasn't until later, after being in the organization for 15, 20 years, they're like, "Hey, we're not perfect. You know, nobody's asking you to be perfect." And I'm like, well, I thought, I thought that's what the scripture said, that we needed to be holy, right? And act holy in our conduct and, in terms of how we treat people. So yeah, I had to learn. And I didn't have, as I said, it was just me, myself, and I had 3 sisters at the time. So, and then I had a friend that lived down the street from me that was in my first wedding. And so, yeah, I just tried to do the best I could to be, good,
Yeah.
Good job.
Good person. Thank you.
You
Thank
know
you.
what? I hear you talk a lot about, well, one, the mentoring that you do, but then also, as you were
Hmm.
trying to figure life out, you went to someone else. How important is that to have somebody that you can talk to, someone that you can, even when you're talking about like building business, right? Because you do so many
Yeah.
different
Hmm.
things. How important
Sure.
are those
Sure.
connections and being able to just get counsel and mentorship and having that person that can help kind of point things out? And how would you recommend someone going about finding that? If say they're not a part of an organization or they're trying to figure this thing out for themselves, how would they go about finding a you to help guide them?
Well, they would go to iamroberthazzardjr.com and click on the link
Right. That was a layup
and say,
too.
"Hey, I want to work with you." That's one way they could do it.
Shame filled plug, not shameless plug. Shame
Right.
filled.
But that's actually a great question because I came up during the time when I didn't know what having a mentor was about, right? I started I worked for the Federal Reserve Bank back in the day. So I started in banking, and I kind of started in the mailroom. And so the people in the organization felt that I didn't belong, in the mailroom. They felt that I needed to be doing something different. So, I had some of the senior VPs of the bank decide that they wanted to mentor me,
Mm.
right? And so they wanted me to, walk in what they saw as greatness for me. So I moved from that mailroom into the sales room, into some boardrooms and things like that. As a result of those senior VPs believing in me, and taking some time to spend with me, which has really helped to propel my career, in just in banking and some of the things that I did with AT&T that I was proud of as well. So I think it's important that we find, mentors and advisors, right? We talk about I talk about mentorship a lot, but we need advisors too. People that are, um, that can give us insight. Fortunately for me, I have some great brothers men that I hang around, and they walk me in the rooms too. I have some lawyer friends. So, I've got the business lawyer, I've got, actually a couple lawyer friends that have helped me. I've got, as you all know, Glenn Murray that is very talented in all the things that he does and allows me, to kind of walk with him through some of the organizations or some of the businesses that he owns and operates and now with his wife, right? So I get to walk in the rooms with people that may be a little bit more um, of an expert than I, but I like to view myself as a connector, Stephanie. And so, being a connector and being the bridge to get people to the other side is something I pride myself on. So, and I walk in authenticity. That's one of the things that I'm strong in. I'm not going to sell you anything that you don't need, because it's going to come back to me. So you can trust that I'm going to be your advocate. And so that has helped me, over my time, over my adult period as well.
I love that.
You talked about your ability to, or inability initially, to want to kind of share yourself with the world when you were when you were
Yeah.
writing lessons for the little boy, and
Yeah.
that first writing turned into, or that writing is also included with you being an author of another book as well in the Faith Failure Success series, The Turning Point, right? And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about your author life and how sharing your story with the world in such a vulnerable way, because you share yourself with the world through business, right? Because
Sure.
you're representing yourself all the time with your
Yeah.
clients and as your, VP of this and organizer of that. But when you're telling your personal story in the life of the author, talk to us about how that has changed you and shaped you.
Well, Turning Point in particular, I think I talk about, my chapter, God has a funny way of getting your attention, right? And so I don't know I don't remember if I talk about it in the book, but I spent many years in my last career before starting my own company within AT&T Mobility, and and one of their top salespeople for about 17 years. So what that meant is the best of the best. You go to Diamond Club, Circle of Excellence as a recognition for your achievements. And one of the things, Jamie, that I remember about in my 17th year of, I give God praise for all the stuff that I was doing, but I got sick and had to go into the hospital. And it was just a fluke, that I had diverticulitis and, some other things but had emergency surgery. So when I say that God has a funny way of grabbing my attention, he wanted me to, turn my attention back to him, because a lot of the stuff that I was doing was on autopilot. I could get in and talk to somebody. I used to sell religion from door to door. I know how to talk to people. Curiosity is a superpower for me. So, but the power literally comes from God.
Yeah.
And so I needed to pause. And so when we talk about God has a funny way of getting your attention, not only was it, with, the divorce of my marriage, the downsizing of that I wasn't expecting. And I'm big on relationships and marriage. That's just one of the things that I like. And so, yeah, I had to just kind of say, what are you trying to tell me, God? I'm ready to listen. And that's when I decided to kind of turn things around for me and listen to, the Spirit as it began to talk to me.
That's
That's okay.
interesting because, a lot of times it's easy to look at the stuff that happens in our life and the we miss the lesson in it. Jamie and I talk about that all the
Yeah.
time, how there are messages in every moment. And so just to be mindful
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening in our lives, because, the Bible talks about it. He takes what the enemy meant for harm for our good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, that he is involved in all the things that concern us, but sometimes we can get so caught up in life that we miss what it is that he's trying to say. And so I think it's just a reminder to approach life and the bad things, the negative things, the good things, just to approach it from a different perspective, because there really is a lesson in it. And a lot of times it is our turning point. It's where we are able to kind of see what that next step is going to be. So talk a little bit about what what is it like being an entrepreneur, right? Because it's one of those things that so many people want to do. We all want to work for ourselves, right? But I have so much
Can you get me
respect.
on this show?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about drinking.
Listen, I know, but I have so much
But let me take some
respect.
water from that one.
Water.
Yes. I have so much respect for people who are actually able to do it and make it work for them, right? Especially like when you're coming from like it is no small feat to come from a 9 to 5 where you have a guaranteed, well, quote unquote, guaranteed paycheck. You're comfortable, you have your 401k and all of the things. You can do it with your eyes closed, to really stepping out and taking a chance on yourself. What was that like for you, and what made you do it? And how have you made it work for you?
You know, I was, as I said, I've been in the corporate space for over 30 years. And as I said, when I was finishing my career, at AT&T, I was doing well. And I think I just got married. And, um, and so after the sickness and the hospital stays, I, um, I took a buyout from AT&T and decided to start my own consulting company, the Hazzard Group, right? And that was at the urging of my now ex-wife. But one of the things that she said to me, she said, you know how to sell to a fire hose, a fire hydrant. You can get people to talk to you, right? And I had this thing where I wanted to, in a lot of the positions that I held, I was one of few African Americans in those positions. So I had this grand old idea because she told me, "Hey, you can do this. You can be a successful entrepreneur." So I said, "Okay, if you think so." um, and I went out and took the buyout and started the Hazard Group. I think back in
Wife speaking to your
Listen, I
husbands.
was
They
gonna
can go
say the
out and
same thing, Jay. Yes,
speaking
yes,
man,
life into your
yeah,
husband.
yes, yes.
absolutely.
Shout out to
Praise
all of
God.
the life
Talk to
speaking
me.
wives out there.
Yes, talk to me, because she was telling me some stuff that I could do, and I believed her, right? And so I went out and said, "Okay, I'm gonna do the Hazard Group. I know how to talk about technology. That was the platform, right? That I would help people, businesses, particularly medium to small businesses, 100 employees or less, that needed sales coaching or innovation around website building, those kind of things. So I went out and I did that. But I will tell you, Stephanie, it wasn't as easy as it looked on TV.
Right.
So, you know, nobody told me that, nobody told me that I wasn't good. I was, at the time, I was used to making, 6 and 7 figures, in my career. And then to go into, the entrepreneur space, and it took me a long time to get clients to pay for the services. I did pro bono. I did a lot of different things trying to get people to say, "Hey, I can build this website for you. We can do all these things. I can teach your people how to sell." And so let me pay me to do those things. It took me a very long time. I was really proud that after a couple years, I got like a check for like I 10,000 or so dollars for building a website for one of my friends. He entrusted me in the team to build his website, and he still talks about it's a great looking website on the legal side. And and I brought the check home to say, "Listen, this is what I made. This is what I've been doing," and stuff like that. But it is it has really been a hard, it's been a hard road. Now they have, classes, DePaul, how, all these other universities that talk about entrepreneurship, right? So, as a result of that, I have a mantra that fail, learn, rise, execute is a framework that I talk about now because, failure was something that I tried to avoid. I tried to avoid it in my spiritual life. I tried to avoid it with, the books that I wrote and, how I, reared my children. I tried to avoid, failure. I think Jamie and I talked about how we frame failure and how we look at it. It's not the end all be all. But so that impacted my journey with entrepreneurship. But now I can tell you, there's a TED Talk coming soon. But
Okay.
the whole fail, learn, rise, execute, because you don't want to stay down when you fail.
Mm-hmm.
And this brother has failed, with some of the things that I've tried to do, but I've learned from those, and now I get to see what was the lesson,
Yeah.
and now I can execute as a result of understanding what that lesson that I needed to.
If that
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a plan to level up, I don't know what is.
Listen,
That sounds like a recipe for leveling up.
it's such a recipe.
Man, I
Yeah.
can't make this stuff up.
Robert, you're on the Level Up podcast, but you, sir, also are a host of a podcast show that we love and adore called Live from the Man Cave. And let's talk about the Man Cave. So, the Man Cave is a group of brothers, older brothers, only
Yep.
men. Let me not say that.
Yep.
You guys have people of various races and cultures on the show. But it's a show by men for men.
Yeah.
The only woman you've ever let on the show was our host last week, Miss Yanni
Yeah.
Brown.
Yes.
But she has a very specific assignment, and we appreciate
Sure.
it together.
Yeah.
Having her on was a little selfish.
Yeah, right. But we love our brother podcasters, and we promote your show all the time on here.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. We definitely think that you guys have something special, and I don't say that because you guys are all authors of Lessons for the Little Boy, but but you're my friends. You're people that I know in real life. Tell us about that space and what that space means to you and how you have seen its impact, not only locally, but nationwide, as you guys had an opportunity to be on TV, even in Texas. Talk about
Yeah. It's a great experience. I actually, I think the podcast guys have been doing it for over 6 years, I believe. And I became, permanent, later, in that process, but I was always like an extra and they would call me. But it gave me an opportunity because men need, I used to say, safe spaces. Until I went through therapy with some men's therapy groups, and then we kind of changed that to say brave spaces. Yeah, because we have to be brave to speak about our experiences and to speak about the things that hurt us. As you all know, I've been married 3 times. That is not something I'm proud of because I wanted it to work, and then I could say I'm married. But it remember we talk about fail, learn, rise. So I had to learn some lessons, as a result of that. But being with the brothers, we get to talk about, all sorts of things. It's not just, relationships. That's predominantly what we talk about. There may be some sports things and then, potentially something around politics. But then Sean is going to bring us back, who is the host of the show, to the
To meet this
relationship
Sean. I've
piece of
heard
it.
so many things about him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Special
Sean is
We love Sean May.
he's a great brother
He is.
that we get to that he gets to be the host, and we enjoy having him as the host, to do that. But yeah, we get to talk about a number of different things that in 80% of our viewers are women. So of course we talk about things that you all want to hear about. And then
Be nosy. Let's see what y'all
yeah,
doing.
and we want you to be nosy, because we want you to know what's happening. We want you to know what's happening, what's on our hearts.
Yeah.
When we've been disappointed or when we're doing some great things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's we've got Mel Roberson, who is an actor, and gets to be on some things like The Shy, and Sean gets to sing, and stuff like that, and has an amazing voice, and Glenn and I get to do the business side of it. Yeah. So it's as you mentioned, yeah, it's been on, in Chicago, WGN, and in Houston, the CW, and we're looking forward to bringing it back to a television station near you, soon. So it's so I get to be with these brothers. I can be myself. I can have a little, wine or spirits or something like that, and we can just chop it up. So I love that.
I love the fact that you guys don't always agree.
No,
You can still have respect. Most of the time, you guys don't agree. Let me be honest. Most of the time,
yeah. Let me be honest. I'm like,
it's a hoot and a holler.
yeah.
But I want to talk about, especially to this current generation, about friendships and even business relationships, how you're not always going to agree with the people around you, but how you can still be respectful and
Absolutely.
still share space and grow business. And so talk about that a little bit, about conflict resolution, emotional maturity, all of those things, especially from the male perspective, because for women it's a whole nother
It's
a whole nother
different.
situation. It's different.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, or asked me that question about conflict resolution, because yes, we don't always agree. But over time we have learned to respect each other's opinion, right? I respect Sean that he is in the host seat. Whether I tried to jump in that seat a couple different times, and I failed at it, miserably. And you would think that, but they said lights, camera, action, but yeah, so I think that, so we respect each other, from that perspective. But really what's great is the emotional intelligence that we all kind of have and are growing in those areas, that, emotionally we can look and say, hey, you know what? I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand that struggle that you went through with, in the relationship piece of it. I'm here for you. I'm sorry that I'm feeling your pain right now for, the breakup of your relationships and things like that, or the challenges that you may be having in business. It's a brotherhood. I'm not Greek, but, we, of course, we have Mel and Sean who are. And so one of the things that I've always admired about both of them is their connection to their brotherhood and being there for each other. So we kind of take that with us in our show, and by the way, we say some stuff, on camera and all of that. And then afterwards in the green room, like, what was that all about? I love you just the same. And that is really the family piece of it. We can tell each other that we love each other, and stuff like that, but we don't always have to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Yes, and neither would, I'm sure, the 80% of women who tune in to it to all the things. Speaking
Yeah.
of
We
women,
want you ladies to listen, to move in. Yeah.
yes.
Tune in to us.
So what would you say? You said that you have, we talked about your marriages and all of that, and then just on behalf or as a representative of a man in the cave, what would you say is what would you tell women, or what have you learned from that? And what do you think is we'll do top two, right? We won't narrow it down to just one, but what are the top two things that you think women need to know about men in terms of being able to best communicate, relate, love, support, all the things? We'll do three. We'll do it three because I know two might be a little hard, but the top three things
Let me get
that
my
we need to
pen.
know.
Let me take notes. I'm ready.
Well, I think the number one thing is, communication, right? Don't just listen to respond. Listen to try to understand the our heart, as a man, right? I talk about, by the way, on the show, effective communication. That's really important. So when I'm talking to, my partner, I want to talk to her in a way that she gets what I'm saying and my words are landing on her appropriately where, she doesn't feel like I'm attacking her, right? And so we have what we want women to do. It's kind of like, Samson and Delilah. When Samson, we know the story, but when he was enamored by Delilah, we have examples of, her being able to get to his secrets just by the soft words that she was talking to him about, right? So we want our women to be able to do the same thing. Talk to us in a way that shows that you respect us and you see the possibilities in us, our strengths that we may not even see. So that would be the number one thing. Talk to us in a way that's respectful, right? We want to show you respect. Listen to us, and allow us to be the leaders in the areas that we want to lead. I don't know any man today that does not want to be a leader of his household. He wants to do that. So in most cases, we may not know how to do it effectively for you,
Mm-hmm.
but we're willing to learn, right? So trust us. Trust is, and I know that it has to be earned. So I'm not saying that it doesn't, but if we look at trust, if we look at communication, how you talk to us, if you talk to us in a way that, man, I know that when you go out there, Robert, and cut that grass the way you do, and those muscles be popping out, you know, or you shovel that snow, when it's cold outside, and you have coffee or some hot chocolate ready for me when I come back in the house, you better believe that I'm going to keep doing, those things for you. But those are the things that win our hearts over and make us want to go. Because when we go out into the world today, we get beat up just like you do. But we want to remember, I told you, my ex said, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
And I believed her. And I still believe that I can do it. Those are the things that I think that we want from women. So we want trust, right? To recap it, we want you to be able to communicate with us with, soft sayings, that speak to our heart. What was the other thing? There was one other thing that
Allow
I talked
to
about.
be the leader in the area. I took notes. Allow
Okay.
to be the leader. Hey, I'm a single woman. I gotta listen.
Yeah.
I gotta.
Yeah.
Well, I need
allow you
married
to
women
be.
need to know too. We all need to be able to have a little refresher. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ab- absolutely.
Mm.
Because leadership, it's we had a show, and I think you were on one of those shows too, Jamie, that where we talked about what marriages, should look like, and it isn't a dominating thing. It's really about, God, I can't think of the term that we use that always sends women over the edge.
Submission.
Submission.
Submission. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Submission. But submission, so let me clear that up. Submission goes both ways, right? We as men have to learn how to submit to a higher power, which is God, right?
Yes.
And then we have to learn how to yield and submit to you when you are telling us stuff that we could be doing differently or better, whether it's raising the children, how we pay the bills, and things like that in the household. So there's a level up that has to happen, in that submission area, but it goes both ways. It's not.
People when they hear submission, they hear weak, but submission is actually a position of power.
Power, yeah,
It's
strength.
a position of power because it's recognizing. I was just having this conversation the other day, not in regards to marriage, but just and when I was younger, I used to be not combative, but I always had to have a response,
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, okay is like my favorite word.
Yep.
Okay. I'm to the point where people that have known me are like, that's it. Okay.
That's all you got to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't, everything doesn't require a back and forth. Yeah. Everything doesn't require an argument. You don't always have to have the last word. Like you learn that through time and age. And at the end of the day, when you talked about trust, if it's in a relationship where I trust the person that I'm having the conversation with, whatever they're saying, I trust their heart, I trust their motives, I trust their intention, all of the things. So there doesn't always have to be this energy exchange of, who has the power. I can show my power by submission. Okay.
The humility of it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, the most important thing when we're having these kind of conversations, because you talked about conflict resolution, which I think is important, not only in relationships, but in life in general, and it requires us to pause for a moment when we're having something go awry. And one of the things that I've tried to do on a regular basis is, tell me more. Yeah. I'm sorry you feel that way. Right. And so if we can, throw the onus to just say that I hear you. How can I do this better? What do you need from me? As your partner, as your husband, what do you need from me? I see the things that you're doing with our children, and you do an amazing job with them. How can I support you? How can I better support you?
And you said something, listen to understand their heart.
Yeah.
And that is what I thought was so key, because often as women, we just hear the words.
Yeah.
And we do listen to respond. That is just.
Yep, absolutely.
But when you listen to receive and understand, the heart is so important, because my mom and I have this conversation frequently as the dynamics of our relationship have changed from me being, she's always going to be my mother, but from me being her child to now her child to adult child. Yeah. And the dynamics of that relationship, and how the things that she says to me, how I receive them, because she is my mother, and how her voice carries weight in my life. And so we talk about tone, and we talk about how, as I'm older and being concerned about her, how I can't try to take away her independence, or like I'm trying to tell her what to do, reprimand.
Right.
That's what she
said.
Yeah. Reprimand me.
Right.
But it's out of care and concern, but you recognize that how people hear stuff based off how we present it. And so relationships do require it's an art. It requires daily work in every arena of our lives. Go ahead, Steph. I see you want to jump in. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say too that I think one of the biggest things that we have to remember when we're talking about relationships, well, I'll say for me, something that God has been dealing with me about is doing the self work, right? So, like, even with my husband, and God has been like, okay, you chose him. Nobody put a gun to your head and said, say
Right.
yes, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Right.
in you
Yeah.
choosing him, I have to, if I don't trust the choice, then that's a me thing. That's not a him thing. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the other part
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
I have to trust that the choice that I made was the right choice and that God is going to do. So it's like, my trust is not even so much in the other person. It's in the fact that I trust God,
Right.
that he is going to lead
Yeah.
the other person and we're going to be okay. And so it's really
Yeah.
about doing that self work to make sure that I'm doing my part, to make sure that I'm taking ownership, I'm taking responsibility, I'm taking accountability for me and my choices. And then my
Mm-hmm.
trust is in God,
Mm-hmm.
that God, you are going to work all, because he's your son. He's my husband, but he's your son.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have to trust
Yeah.
that you are going to do the work in your son, and I got to allow you to do the work in me. And I think having that mindset has allowed me to be okay with letting him be who he needs to be, because I have to trust that who he needs to be is going to be the best for me and our children. And then the other part too is easier.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to make all the decisions. Like, I want to be a soft, I
Yeah.
want to be in my soft era. Okay. Tell me what to do, because
Yeah.
I'm a boss at work. I'm telling people what to do all day
Right.
long. When I come home, baby, can you do? Yes, I can. Baby, yes, I can. Because I don't
Yeah.
want to think about
I
anything.
got you. Yeah. I got you. You know, if I can tell you, ladies, it's really important that we understand what love looks like. And by the way, there's no graduating with in that area of love, is there? We have to, God says, I love, and of course he gives us, various things that display how we know what love is, right? But for a long time, we had to love sometimes the unlovable. And that's a hard thing to do, but you don't graduate with love. It's really important that we love you in this season of your life, and in that season of your life. And what I've recognized is the person that I started out loving may not be the same person that I get a year or so later. Menopause, premenopausal, all of those things change. Music Soul Child has a song out, it's an older song, but one, he says, Teach Me How to Love. But he also has the other song that Don't Change.
Yeah.
I'll love you when your hair turns
Mm-hmm.
gray. I'll
Mm-hmm.
love you.
Yeah.
Notice I'm saying love you when
Yeah.
you gain a little weight,
Yeah.
as long as your love doesn't change. So all of those things, it goes back to love. The Bible talks about for men to be swift, about hearing from our partners or those that we have oversight for too. And, to be, what is it in James? He talks about swift about hearing, slow to wrath.
Yeah. Quick to listen.
So, yeah,
Anger.
slow to anger, right?
Yeah.
Again, that's a skill set that we have to learn. And we're still learning it today, even in the climate, political climate that we're in.
Yes.
We have to learn to let things roll off our back when we meet people who aren't necessarily as nice as they should be to us.
Yeah.
And particularly in the household too, we see a lot of those things because that's satanic stuff that is happening, and it's by design.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a way to
It's
keep us
different.
from who we are, where we're supposed to go, and the work we're supposed to be doing together.
Yeah,
My cousin
yeah,
just posted on TikTok today or yesterday. When did our political votes or affiliations become our whole identity? It was like, when did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Before it was just I kind of align with these things. This is how I want things to operate, or this is what I want to. This is who I am. And I said, yeah. I said it's become a sad day. That was the day that it became sad. Robert, the reason we absolutely adore you so much is because of all of the things that you shared on this show and many more things that we don't have enough hours in the day to share. But all of these things have a description of a man of excellence. And so much
Oh,
so, the
oh
Chicago
my God.
Defender
Yeah.
deemed you to
Yeah.
be the 26th
Oh my God.
man of excellence.
Oh my God. Who is that guy?
Look at that hand there. Receiving that recognition and honor.
It was amazing for a number of reasons. That that I was honored to be nominated to be a man of excellence in the first place. And secondly, I was able to have both my children with me, at the event, as well. And that was just, of course, some of my, friends too, favorite friends, were able to come there. Man, and I'll tell you, just to see there was 50, I believe 50 men that were nominated, that received awards, and to be in the presence of some great, amazing leaders. Had Lewis Carr from BET,
Oh, wow.
Derek Rose, there, as well. And of course, a number of amazing people here in the Chicagoland market, but to be in the room, with them, and be in the pre room where we got together and kind of hear some of the stories and take pictures with the celebrity people. But I felt like a celebrity, that night,
Yeah, I saw
as
your little
well.
dance in. I saw your
Oh my God, right? I'm like,
little
yeah,
yeah, he
I'm like, man, and Glenn being the photographer and videographer in terms of taking those. Yeah, man, I was just so it was just it was an honor, and more importantly for my children to be there to receive it with me.
you don't do
Yeah,
this stuff for accolades, but
no, no, not at all.
It's nice to have
work that you
icing on the cake.
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to do a lot. I don't know, you jokingly said, at the beginning of the show, like, wow, you hope you live up to that. You live that. Like, you are a man of excellence. And one of the things that we always try to bring are people who are living the talk. And you don't just talk the talk, but you are living it and walking it and being such a phenomenal example. And you talked about that scripture in the Bible is one of my favorite about being perfected. And God taught me that being perfected means the process.
yeah. It's a
We are
process.
consistently in a process, and you have
Woo.
learned how to take the processing, the pain, the purpose, and give back to show others, allow people in, even at some of your most vulnerable and difficult moments, to allow
Yeah,
to see that they can do it, that they can achieve. And so, your book, The Turning Point, turned into a documentary,
yeah,
Faith, Failure, Success documentary. And it's such a powerful documentary because it takes those stories that are written, but now you get to see the author who wrote it share it in their own voice with their own emotion. Um, in a day and age of social media and everybody sharing everything, no filters, right?
hmm
Oversharing.
Let's talk about sharing your oversharing, right?
yeah,
Let's talk about sharing pain in purpose,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because you guys
yeah,
are sharing your pain in purpose in the hopes of helping others. And I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I really want to talk about or for you to share what that means for you to not only be able to write about it, but to talk about it in such a vulnerable space of a documentary, and
Yeah.
what that means for you.
Well, thank you for that. It was definitely a great experience to be able to do that. That was definitely one of the things that I talked about in that documentary about, the lover of life and where that term comes from. And many people, think that the lover of life for me is because, I like to show up, have fun, and travel and do all those amazing things. But it is really because of my sister Stephanie um, um, passing away unexpectedly, and I had just seen her that day. So I made the resolve to live life, to inspire people, to live life and be better, as a result of that, as well. So I got to talk about that in the book, in the documentary, to kind of share what that was, that how I got that term, and also about ego and how my ego may have shown up in my marriage, or the dissolve of my marriage. So it's a number of things that those are the two major things that came out of that documentary. We still want you people to watch it, so that go back and look and see what we're talking about. But it's definitely, it was a privilege to be able to share my story and journey in that documentary.
Robert, you know what? The thing that I always like to, we always talk about the audience and what they're going to get to level up, but I like to be able to get little nuggets for myself off of each guest that we have. And from you, like the thread that I am walking away with is a decision, right? A decision to live life,
Yeah,
a decision to love, a decision to learn from the failure, to get back up. That
yeah,
life doesn't just
yes,
happen haphazardly, right? Like we don't just fall
yes,
into the life that we want to live. We have to create it choice
yeah.
by choice. And so I applaud you for making those choices. And if, we were to walk away with something just for the audience to understand that we all have the power to make choices. We may not be able to dictate what God does and how he chooses to
Hmm.
move in our lives, but we can choose how we respond to it, right? And how we
Absolutely.
are able to learn from it and grow from it and walk into purpose because of it. So I am inspired and all of the things, and I'm just so grateful that you were able to come on tonight and just share your story with.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Where can we find you? What can we expect from you before we end the show? We got to know how to stay in touch with you, man.
On the
The audience needs to know.
Right.
Yeah, on the business side, the business platform you can find me on is LinkedIn. I'm Robert Hazzard Jr. on LinkedIn. My company, the Hazzard Group, is there on IG and Facebook. I believe it's I am Robert Hazzard Jr. Got to put that I am somebody on there, to find me. You can also find me on TikTok. I am Robert Esser Jr., as well. But I'm responsive on all those social media platforms, including Facebook. So
Are you doing the
I'd love to
TikTok
chat with
dances?
people.
Are you doing all the
I am not, but you know what? I wanted to do some of those. I really did. But, I was asking my daughter to kind of teach me that, but no, I have not. I have not done.
What you know, stick with what you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to stick with it, but I'm gonna do some of those, Stephanie. I'm gonna look at some of those things and find me something to do. But I gotta have my granddaughter. She's got a lot of energy, to do
They'll
that
like it
stuff.
because of the baby. They'll like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it for you. What should we be anticipating?
Well, I have a book that's coming out. Chasing happiness the way people see it. which is in reference to a podcast that I have called The Way I See It with Robert Hazzard Jr. That podcast is going to be relaunched very, very soon. So you'll be able to follow the episodes and things like that. But man, I just want to keep showing up, and I want to encourage people to do the same, to show up, shine, because people need to see their brightness, their life, and things like that. So if I can encourage someone to do that, I'm here for it.
And we are too. Robert, we love you. We respect you.
Thank you.
Honor you, and we thank you so much for being on Level Up. You have an open invitation, my brother, to be on this show because you always come with something that we need, and that we believe that the audience needs. And so to our audience, as you can see, why we love this guy so much. He is definitely the truth. This is who he is, and he shows up authentically in every space, every time.
Thank you.
And it is our joy to know him. So you can continue to follow this show because there will be more of Robert Hazzard. Make sure you like, subscribe. If there was something that stood out to you, make sure you leave that in the comments. Robert will definitely get back to you if you're needing consultation on your website for your business, or if you just need a mentor. If you can't be it, he will find the right person based off
absolutely
you have in your life. He is a well-connected brother. And so this is what we do here at Level Up. We bring men and women before you that have businesses, that have stories that they have learned to love because they recognize it's the only life that they have. And we want to bring them to you to help you do the same. And so we thank you for watching. Make sure you stay tuned because we have so much more in store. Stephanie, you got any closing words for the people?
Just ditto. And I hope that you are right. And I hope that everybody walks away after watching this inspired to just make some choices to be who it is that God has created you to be, to love life, to live life, to recognize life is not promised. So make the very most of the life that God has given you. So yes, that's what I will close with.
Yeah, and with that, we thank our producer, Justin, for always being the man behind the scenes to make this show possible. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you later and keep on leveling up.
Yes.
Leveling up.
Amen.